I'm so glad though that police took it seriously and went out and they were just like, oh, like she's just a kid. She's just playing, like wait 24, like they didn't wait. They're like, all right, we're on our
I
way.
think it's a
See you
little
soon.
different because she's 8, the age here. It's not
Yes,
like a teenage thought that she's not running away. But I agree with you.
right.
I'm glad that they were literally there within minutes. And like, I think it helped too that they lived on a dead end cul-de-sac and they had literally every single neighbor there. And like, they didn't have to go search each house already and like knock on the doors and be like, hey, have you seen Maddie? And like, the police didn't have to do that. They were already standing there in a group in the yard, like, what do you want us to do? Coordinate this. Tell us what to do. The kid is clearly not here. None of us have her. Let's go. You know. Um, the following day, the police go door to door, canvassing the neighborhood, trying to figure out and get a more accurate timeline of events and figure out who, if anyone, had seen Maddie, if anyone had heard anything, just trying to figure out what's going on, because through the first night, they're like, because this is nighttime, it's 6:33 when the 911 call comes in. It's nighttime almost immediately, and this is in November. It gets, and yes, it's Florida, it's Jacksonville, Florida, but like it's still November. It gets dark early. Um, they're like 8-year-old girl out at night. They're largely focusing the first night not on getting statements or anything, but on actively searching. And when they don't find Maddie the next morning, a couple detectives are dispatched to start focusing on the paperwork side of the investigation and getting the timeline and everything. This is when the police were largely focused on Larry Grisham, the neighbor we mentioned and talked about, that Maddie and the other kids were playing with. This is a good time to mention that Larry had a criminal history. He had something like, it was in the 20s. I did write down the exact number, but like between like 22 and 28 previous petty crimes on his record. However, 2 of them were sexual battery that were 5 years apart, but all charges were dropped in both of those cases. That means nothing to me because, I mean, you guys should know the statistics about rape now, but something like 4% get reported and something like less than 1% actually succeed in a criminal conviction. I mean, I am a rape survivor and my rapist is not in jail. Like, it's shit happens. That means nothing to me. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We're not going to speculate because it's unclear if the parents in the neighborhood knew about this, but either way, the police interview him and he tells them exactly what I had already said. He was playing with Maddie. He sent her home. She never came back. He assumed she had to stay in for dinner. And that was the last he saw of her. He took a polygraph, which he failed, but that isn't a big, polygraphs mean nothing to me. Casey and I talk about this all the time. They're not admissible in court. They're really easy to flunk if you're even a little bit flustered. Like, I don't know, this kid that you help her parents watch that you were just playing with goes missing, and it's a day later, and they're like, did you kill her? Where is she? Is she missing? Where's Maddie? And you're like, my neighbor just went missing, and I don't really know what to do right now. What? Yeah, I can see that he failed a polygraph. Like, polygraphs are junk science. Okay, I'm gonna say it again.
Noted.
They're junk science. There's a reason they're not admissible in court. But the police clear him pretty much within a day or two. Like, so it's not important for me to speculate on this guy's criminal history or anything else because he's very quickly cleared and he's 100% not our guy in this. And So we're going to move on. This whole time, hundreds of volunteers are searching the neighborhood and the surrounding areas, searching the woods and swamps and the grasslands, and there is no sign of Maddie at all. The U.S. Army Reserve even came in to search manholes under the streets and stuff. And they did a house-to-house search in the neighborhood with cadaver dogs, but there was no luck at all. The Cliftons went to the press immediately, like literally the next morning. Maddie's mom, so like they spent all night searching, and then the next morning, like it comes around that it's light, and Maddie calls her friend, Maddie's mom calls a friend of hers that she knows who is a radio station host. And she gets on his radio station that morning going, my daughter is missing. This is all the important information. Please, if you know anything, please call the police. They got missing person flyers printed up immediately. People started wearing yellow ribbons to bring awareness about Maddie. 10 billboards went up around Jacksonville about Maddie. And it was on the top of the news hours. And this was literally within 7 days. Like, this is the first 7 days of Maddie being missing that all this happens. These billboards go up. They're on news.
That's amazing.
The community really mobilized here with this case, and really just Maddie's parents handled it. I don't want to say well, but none of the words I'm thinking of feel right, but Maddie's parents, the way they handled this was remarkable, and they were just, I don't want anybody's kid to go missing, but if your kid goes missing, I mean, they really did everything right. They went to the media immediately. They mobilized immediately. Maddie's mom, Sheila, was like, my church literally was over the next morning. Everybody turned my house into a command center. Like, there were people working immediately. Everybody took this so seriously, and it's just, everything was really done right here. And I rarely say that about the things police do.
Facts.
Facts. Yeah. So Maddie's parents get on Good Morning America, and they plead for her safe return, and they offer a $50,000 reward for any information regarding Maddie. But there's also talks about possibly doubling it up to $100,000, which, again, this is 1998. That's a lot of money now. That's a lot of money then. It's just a lot of money.
That is a lot.
And
especially for like information reward, like
this is within 10 days. Like, usually you don't see $50,000 rewards and rewards getting that big until like it's a longer case and people have had time to make donations and really find funding for these rewards. They don't just appear out of nowhere. You can't just go, oh, here, $50,000 for anyone who says it. No, you actually have to have the money. Like, you can't just go, hey, Crime Stoppers, can I have $50,000? No. Like, it's remarkable that it happened this quickly. But they also addressed Maddie herself on the GMA Good Morning America interview and said, Maddie, honey, we're ready for you to come home. Please come home. Please. While sobbing their eyes out.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, heartbreaking. And this GMA segment was exactly 7 days after Maddie went missing. They had just finished the segment and were wrapping up when there was a knock on the door. And it was the police.
Casey and I love to hear from our listeners and to connect with you all. That's why you can find us on Instagram at BicoastalCrime, Casey at BicoastalCasey, and Carmen at Carmen.rouge.burlesque. You can check out all of our sources, all of our info, and learn more about us and the podcast at www.bicoastalcrimepodcast.com. And you can email us case suggestions and feedback to bicoastalcrime@gmail.com. We hope to hear from you, and we hope you tune in next week.